as a little kid, I used to always cry a lot. In the family, I was always known as being the crybaby of the family. But as I started to grow older and reach my teen years, I stopped crying and I stopped being too emotional. And this pattern continued up until my early 20s, because as an adult, I don't cry anymore. I don't really cry like that. I'm not too emotional as the same way as I was as a kid. But there are a few certain things in my adulthood life that can make me cry, that can make me be emotional, that can make me shed tears coming from my eyes. And the little few things that can make me cry as an adult are seeing my family members going through hardships, seeing my mom or my dad going through pain or going through struggle, and also seeing my two brothers going through pain and going through struggles as well. But other than that, in terms of the real world, those are the only things that will make me emotional. But there is another way that can make me cry, is watching a piece of media, watching a TV show or a movie that the story is just too good, the characters are just too great, that once something happens, once something major happens in that storyline that affects the character in a negative way and it's written beautifully, that will make me possibly shed a tear. And it seems that James Gunn has created such a show that has unlocked an emotional state that I have not really uncovered since I was a little child, since I was an adolescent kid. And this show is Creature Commandos, because aside from the first 2 episodes, I'll be completely honest with you, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, and now episode 7 has such emotional backstories for the characters in each episode that, man, after each episode, I could not help but shed some tears, because James Gunn writes these characters so heartbreaking. Their stories are so heartbreaking. Their past relationships, their past motives, their past lives are so sad to see. And you just can't help but root for these characters. You just can't help but trying to support these characters. And it's so sad when James Gunn, he pulls the rug under our feet, because in all of these episodes, most of these characters have bad endings. Like, for example, in the 3rd episode, Cheers to the Tin Man, we see G.I. Robot's backstory. And as a robot, it's pretty sad seeing how throughout the decades he was evolving and he was living life when all of the people that he knew, they died in the past, like Sergeant Rock, even though we'll see a movie about Sergeant Rock in the DCU very soon. But it was very sad to see G.I. Robot die at the end of Cheers to the Tin Man. And in Chasing Squirrels as well, we see Weasel's backstory, and we see how he was framed for killing all of those kids. He was framed for being the child killer, and it was so heartbreaking to see him just be a kind animal, be a kind creature. He really cared for those kids, but those kids died in that fire and in the iron pot. Even though Frankenstein is a weird stalker in this series, seeing the relationship he had with that old grandmother that was a gypsy, seeing the relationship that he had with her, and seeing him unceremoniously kill her for no reason, just to put her out of her misery so that she cannot feel alone anymore, was so heartbreaking to see. And in Prieto Skelet, we see the backstory of Dr. Phosphorus, and we see how before the crime spree that he will soon go into, he was a loving dad, he was a loving husband that was just trying to find a cure for cancer, a noble cause. But dickheads like Rupert Thorne ruined his life, killed his family, killed his wife, and this caused Dr. Phosphorus to become who he is. So this same trend happens in the very last episode of A Very Funny Monster, where we see a backstory to one of the characters of the Creature Commandos. And man, the backstory for Nina Mazursky is so sad, because she is actually a kind-hearted person. She really had an early childhood of a parent that really loved her. But the reason why I'm saying a parent is because in the episode we see that early on when she was a child, something really bad happened to her when she was a little baby that caused her lungs to not be normal. Basically, she needs a giant metallic tank that she always needs in order to breathe. And we see how this negatively affects her mom. And her mom, she despises Nina Mazursky because Nina is not a normal child. Nina is not the child that she wanted. And the mom, she is a rude person in my honest opinion in this series because she leaves the dad and Nina Mazursky because she claims that the dad is torturing all three of them by trying to keep Nina alive, by trying to at least help Nina to get a somewhat normal childhood. And the mom just did not have any sort of relationships for Nina Mazursky. She just hated her from the go, and this caused the mom to leave Nina Mazursky at an early age. So we see the struggles that the dad has to go through in getting Nina to have a good early childhood, because the dad, he is so supportive of Nina. He is helping Nina learn a lot. He helped Nina learn calculus. He helped Nina become a very bright and intelligent student. So when Nina is growing old and she is starting to become her preteens, the dad feels that it's necessary to bring Nina into school to finally help Nina socialize with peers that are the same age as Nina. But we will soon see how badly that goes for Nina. But let me kind of pivot and go to the main story of the episode. And the main story is we're seeing the creature commandos. They have reached the Pokolistan castle and they are now trying to kill Princess Alana due to the orders of Amanda Waller. But let me also pivot as well during this pivot and go to Amanda Waller, because we see later in the episode that Amanda Waller, she is beside the bed of Rick Flag Sr. And remember, Rick Flag Sr., he was fucked up because of the battle with Clayface, aka the Dr. McPherson, because remember, Clayface as a shapeshifter, he shapeshifted into Dr. McPherson and framed Princess Alana for all the things that Amanda Waller thinks Princess Alana is going to do with the Vision. But we will soon see this plot point come into question, because Rick Flag Sr., he later tells Amanda Waller that the Dr. McPherson you saw was not who she was. That was Clayface. So this causes Amanda Waller to become paranoid and to panic again. So she calls Johnny Economos and orders Johnny Economos and Amanda Waller to go to Dr. McPherson's location, to go to her house, to see if what Rick Flag Sr. is saying is true. So when they reach to the house of Dr. McPherson, they uncover that Rick Flag Sr. was right. And they uncovered that the Dr. McPherson they saw was a fluke, was a fake. And yes, she needs to tell Creature Commando, she needs to tell the bride that you need to leave Pokolistan now. Do not kill Princess Alana, but it's too late. The Creature Commandos are already infiltrating the castle. They have went into the security cameras so that they can see an easy way of getting into Princess Alana. And coincidentally, Princess Alana, she is about to do this dive from this large hill and onto this body of water so that she can go out for a swim. So when they see that, they go to that particular location, and once they reach that location, they were arguing a bit, but they later eventually decide that Nina Mazursky has to be the one to kill Princess Alana, because she is the only one that can survive underwater, and when she goes underwater, she can have a chance of killing Princess Alana underwater. But as this is happening, we're seeing that Weasel, he is actually not trying to kill Princess Alana, because remember, it is implied that Alana was one of the children that Weasel was trying to save during that fire. And before this could happen, let me now jump back into history. Let me go back to Nina Mazursky's backstory, and man, this shit was so sad that I could not help myself but cry, because we see that when Nina Mazursky is enrolled and accepted into the high school, we see life is not easy for her. She is getting bullied from every single person she meets. They are calling her a frog. They are basically just bullying her so badly, and even when she joined this sport, they are just roughhousing her, and it's not fair. And these two kids, these two boys, they are just intimidating her, putting fear into her heart, and they are forcing her to say ribbit like a frog, and that was just so uncomfortable to see. And even this part that pissed me off, because I thought that Nina Mazursky would find a friend, because this one boy, he was smiling in a generous way to her, and we see that this is a lie, because Nina Mazursky opened the locker and she sees a frog in the locker planted by that same boy that smiled nicely to her. And this is when Nina knew, okay, nobody in the school likes me. No one in the school will accept me for who I am, because I am a monster. I am a mutant. I am a freak. So Nina Mazursky, she ultimately decides to leave home, to leave the life that she knew. And the way she did that is because when her dad came home to greet Nina Mazursky, he notices that it's awfully quiet. He runs into her room and notices that her window is wide open, but he sees a note, and that note from Nina Mazursky states that she will always love her dad. She will always love her dad for being a supportive father, for being the best father that anyone could possibly had. And that was so sad to see. But one thing that was so sad to see, that was more sad than this scene, was when Nina Mazursky, she is basically living life as a nobody now. She is just swimming through the sewers and the tunnels and the waters and lakes of Star City, but she is now discovered by a passerby, and that passerby takes a photo of Nina Mazursky, and now there is this urban legend of this sea creature that happens, and Nina Mazursky eventually gets captured by the authorities, by the police / government. And once that happens, the dad notices this happens on TV. He drives to the location. He's trying to tell Nina Mazursky that you're gonna be okay. You're the best gift that I've ever gotten. But man, the police officers were such assholes, man. They shot the dad in point blank rage, in cold blood. They murdered the dad in front of Nina Mazursky, and it was so crazy to see Nina Mazursky watch her dad's life basically fade away in front of her. And that shit was crazy, man. Fuck that police officer for doing that. But after that backstory, we now go back into the future. We pivot into the main story again, and we see Nina Mazursky. She is now swimming underwater, and she is trying to find an opening to kill Princess Alana. But as this is happening, we see Princess Alana, she gets spooked because Weasel, he's making too much of a noise, and he runs into the water trying to tell Princess Alana something. So Alana now looks down and sees Nina Mazursky about to kill her. So Alana, we see that she is actually pretty strong. She can hold her own against someone with the strength like Nina Mazursky. So Princess Alana somehow manages to kill Nina Mazursky by stabbing her repeatedly in the stomach. And this was so sad to see Nina Mazursky die, man, because she was so kind-hearted. She was a lovable character. Out of all the characters in the Creature Commandos, she did not do anything bad. She was not a bad person. She was nice. She was kind-hearted. She was generous. And seeing her die like this was so heartbreaking to see, man. But going on Princess Alana, because like I said just now, she showed some great feats of strength by having the strength to kill Nina Mazursky. So you have to remember that, because that vision that Cersei was saying was not entirely fake. She wasn't really lying, but she was kind of doing a half truth, because we see that Princess Alana is actually who Cersei really says she is. Because when the creature commandos were going into the computer security cameras, they saw that Princess Alana met with Clayface to create and start this entire elaborate ruse that will cause Amanda Waller to go on this wild goose chase so that they can just be running in circles while Princess Alana is planning her evil plan. Alana was the one that sent Clayface to kill Dr. Macpherson and to show Amanda Waller Cersei's visions. So once we now see that the bride, she is out for vengeance, and when Nina Mazursky's death happened, the Pocolistan guards, they let the creature commanders go because Amanda Waller called the Pocolistan guards and told them that they were not supposed to kill Princess Alana. It was a misunderstanding. So this kind of created an opportunity for the bride to be alone with Princess Alana. And once this happens, they were inside Alana's room and they were just arguing with each other, and the bride was saying, I'm not going to kill you because of saving the world. I don't give a damn about saving the world. I'm not going to kill you because of Amanda Waller's orders. I'm going to kill you because you took the only friend that I have ever had in this life, and that was Nina Mazursky. And she now basically exposes Alana to her face, telling Alana that I saw the tapes with you and Clayface. You are actually evil. So when Alana, she was just hearing the bride talk, she was about to pull her gun, but the bride, she was faster than Alana, and she just quick drawed and shot Princess Alana point blank range, killing Alana. So after this happened, I kind of wasn't really happy that the Pocolistan guards did not hear the gunshot. I think they should have heard the gunshot and tried to act, but that's the only negative I have of this episode, was that I think the guards should have heard that gunshot because I didn't think the gun was a silencer. The other thing I didn't really like about the Creature Commandos finale was the Frankenstein's encounter with the bride, because I expected the Frankenstein to fight the Creature Commandos for at least 30 seconds or 40 seconds and then get killed off by Lady Frankenstein, but they didn't go that route. James Gunn decided to just make Frankenstein get shot point blank range in the head. And yes, that's good because the Frankenstein, he was a stalker, but I kind of wanted to see a confrontation that was more serious than what we got in the finale. So I think that was a missed opportunity in showing a little good fight scene and showing some good powers that the Frankenstein and the members of the Creature Commandos have. Despite all of that, Frankenstein actually was revealed to have survived the gunshot from Lady Frankenstein because he was saved by this old and kind lady in the post-credit scene. But I digress, and that's the only part of the episode where I was not happy, in my honest opinion. But let me continue to the end of the episode, and we see that the Creature Commandos, the mission is effectively done in Pocolistan. Their services are no longer needed for Pocolistan, but at the end of the episode, we see Amanda Waller give the bride a new team, and that new team consists of Nosferatu, Callus, a new GI robot, aka the same GI robot. When I saw the OG come back in this big mecha suit, I was like, bet GI robot is gonna return in season 2. We see Weasel return, and we now see King Shark. He makes his debut in the DCU, aka his return to the DCU, because technically he was already in this universe despite the Suicide Squad being taken place in the DCEU. So when the episode ended, I was like, wow, I had a roller coaster of emotions, and one of those emotions was sadness, was grief. And like I said earlier in the video, this episode, alongside most of the episodes in this entire season, made me shed a tear. This episode made me cry for the character of Nina Mazursky. James Gunn really knows how to write all of these obscure characters, and he knows how to make sure that you will care for these characters, man. But that's the end of the video. What do you guys think of this last episode, man? I'm out. Peace.